Well, hey guys, it's Dr. Drake 63 here today, and gonna do an unboxing video. Here you go. It's an older Smith & Wesson box. It's not going to be a revolver like usual, though. Today we're going to take a look at what was a stalwart on the law enforcement scene back in the 80s and 90s, and that is a Smith & Wesson model 6906. And we're going to go ahead and open this up. You can see the original instruction manual that came with this. Lots of good information in there, just your basic stuff. Nice representation of what was going on back in that day. I bought this from the original owner, and he did indicate that this was a fairly low round count firearm. And there you go. You can see it's got that nice silver look. It's basically an alloy frame, aluminum alloy frame. It has a stainless steel slide. You can see there it is a decocker, a frame, I should say, a slide-mounted decocker. And you can see that it's got a wraparound type grip. So this is not a wood grip. This is not a two-piece grip. It wraps all the way around. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But you can see it's a nice-looking firearm. It's got Novak sights on it. This particular model does, and very nice and easy to acquire. Some of the early models had more of like your typical 1911 GI type sights on them. So these are very nice for acquisition. You can see the external extractor and everything about it. This is a double action, single action. It does have a bobbed hammer, so it doesn't have an exposed hammer like you might see with a 1911 or a lot of double action, single action pistols. But overall, it fits very nice in the hand. I'm going to demonstrate the double action here, and you can see the hammer come back. Now I'm going to bring that hammer back just enough so I can cock it and demonstrate to you the trigger pull in single action. Obviously significantly lighter, and like I said, it also has that decocker on it. You're looking right at the other side of the takedown pin, and as you can see, there's no import marks, anything like that. This, as I mentioned, not a trade-in of any kind or anything like that. It's just a new firearm I bought from the original owner. Here you can see the magazines, very well constructed, 12 round, and overall just a nice looking firearm. I had the blued version of this, the 5913, which was a full size. Wasn't totally thrilled with that. I thought it was a little bit big for what it did. As far as the 9mm goes, though, this one is much more handy, much more compact from a conceal standpoint. And you will see me in this video compare it to a Glock 19. And the reason I'm doing that is not to talk about which one is a better gun or any of that jazz, but because it's the same size as my everyday carry and might possibly be an everyday carry gun for me at some point, I want to talk about some of the things like magazine capacity and weight, dimensions. How does it stack up size-wise? Things of that nature. But this is, I'll say again and stress, this is not which is a better gun, a Glock 19 or a Smith & Wesson 6906. I just don't have the trigger time with that 6906 to make a statement like that, so I won't. But it does beg itself for comparison for various reasons, as I stated. So we're going to be taking a look at that today. So without further ado, let's take a look under the hood. So let's talk about taking one of these things down. First of all, of course, we're going to get rid of the magazine, check the chamber. Yep, we're good. Nothing in there. Okay, so in order to take this down, what we want to do is basically move the slide back to such point to where this notch lines up with the top of the takedown pin. So about that far, and then it's going to come right out. There you go. There's this part right here. Once you've done that, you're supposed to pull the trigger, put the magazine back in actually, or it won't happen. Pull the trigger, and then take the magazine back out, and this slides right off. Okay, so it's got a few steps along the way, but just taking a look at this right here, you can see that there's you've got your spring right here and the guide rod. You take this off, you'll see this is an all metal guide rod, which is desirable for a lot of guys in modern guns. The back end of this spring just sits in a cutout right up here. Okay. And then you're ready to take your barrel out. And here you go. 9mm, not a lot to it. We're going to compare this in a minute to the Glock. Okay, but your slide, pretty basic stuff here. This is a stainless steel slide. It's got pretty good amount of weight to it. Some of the older ones, the sights weren't as nice, but these are very nice and easy to acquire, as you can see. Your frame. We put it back together. Just a few things you have to check for. You have these various spring-loaded items that need to come all the way down in order for your slide to go back on. And this slide is an aluminum alloy, which a lot of people have knocked. I don't know why. Nobody has problems having an all polymer frame these days. But some guys don't like the aluminum alloy. They want an all steel gun. As far as your grips, you can get. I've seen some wood aftermarket things like that. Really not a super good idea for this gun, in my opinion. There's a pin right here which you drift out, and this isn't two grips on either side. This is actually one continuous piece. Okay. And I mentioned that this has the rounded trigger guard, not the square one. There's a little bit of texture there for grabbing a hold. But that's about it. Now let's compare it to the Glock. Well, again, making sure that empty chamber, we pull the trigger. We take it back and just pull up on this spring-loaded affair right here, and boom. A lot easier to take down than a Smith & Wesson. I don't think anybody will deny you that. It's a double capture spring on some of these later models, like this Generation 5. You take out your barrel, and there you go. Taking a look at these two firearms disassembled side by side, first thing you'll notice, of course, is that the barrel length on the 6906 is about 3/4 of an inch less than you see on the Glock, so it is a shorter barrel. What does that mean? Well, it means more than anything else that you're going to have a little bit less velocity, all other things being equal, with the 9mm round coming out of there. Is it enough to make a difference at self-defense distances? Doubtful. But again, that stuff, at some point would matter. Here we're again looking at the slides, and just like we notice a difference in length with the Glock barrel being longer, so it's the slide by about that same 3/4 inches. Which makes sense, obviously. So dimensionally, the Glock is a little bit of a longer gun dimensionally, at least from the slide standpoint. Again, looking at the guide rod here for the Smith & Wesson on that 6906, and looking at this double capture action spring for the Glock. I think these are a great idea, and it's probably why you see them in all the newer firearms. Here's the takedown pin for the 6906. Pretty basic stuff, obviously inspired by your John Browning designs and so forth. And I'll just point out that as far as the Glock goes, you really don't have a takedown pin. It's this internal spring-loaded little catch that you push down on. So that's that one less part you get with a Glock, which I think anything you can do to cut down on the number of parts for takedown is always good. And as we saw, it disassembles quicker. Also reassembles quicker, by the way. So there's your parts. And we're going to take a weight on these after we reassemble these firearms, and you'll get to see which one of these weighs more based on the sum of the parts, not just the individuals of the parts. So let's take a look at that next. So first we're going to weigh this 5906. And as you can see by looking at the scale, this comes in at 1 pound, 7 ounces and change. Okay, so that's without a magazine in. That's just the weight of the firearm itself. Doing the same thing with the Glock, we can see that it actually comes in at 1 pound, 5 ounces and change. So it's about 2.5 ounces lighter than the 6906. And I think most of that reduction of weight is actually in the frame, not the slide or the other parts, but actually in the frame. Polymer just being so much lighter. And now for a real quick word about the 6906 and plus P 9mm ammunition. A lot of people will say, well, if it doesn't say plus P on the barrel, then, or anywhere on the frame or whatever, it's not rated for plus P. Guys, that's just total crap on any modern firearm. Bottom line is, if you want to shoot higher pressure ammo, and this isn't significantly higher pressure ammo anyway, but if you want to shoot higher pressure ammo, you can. It's going to cost you more money. That's number one. It's going to wear your gun a little bit quicker, and that's true with any firearm. And you may want to look at the springs you're using if you're going to give it a steady diet. But if you just want a proof that this ammo feeds well and you want to use it in your firearm to see how it shoots at several distances and use that when you're carrying the firearm, go for it, man. It's no different than any other firearm. Like I said, this Glock right here. This doesn't say anywhere on it that it's rated for plus P either, but Glock will tell you, go ahead and fire it. It's not an issue. And it's going to be the same issue for this Glock as it is with this Smith & Wesson. The more higher pressure loads you shoot through it, the quicker it's going to wear the parts. It's just simple physics, guys. It's not a real complicated thing. So, hey, guys, we've seen these bringbacks, police trade-ins, things like that. I had the opportunity to get one of these in the original box, original papers. It's even got that brown wrapper on it from the original owner. This is a beautiful example of a Smith & Wesson. I really like the size. Really fits in the hand well. Very reminiscent of that Glock 19 or similar styles. Before Smith & Wesson decided to make the M&P series and jump into the polymer game, this was what they provided for the law enforcement community. And the 6906, the 5000 series, and others, this one is a compact. Okay, so it's got a little bit shorter barrel. That was the nature of the 6906. Guys use these for backups or for a duty firearm. Great firearm. Great firearm. Appreciate you watching today. Just a bit of an unboxing video. We're going to do some shooting and so forth in subsequent chapters. But just wanted to get this out to you. I'm really pleased to have it, and I appreciate you watching today. This is DR Drake 63 saying so long.